very good evening once again, everyone. Today, I, Amreen Mogar, welcome you all on this platform. So today, we are going to be talking on a topic which is very current and relevant. So we'll be discussing on if online education, is actually a tug of war between parents and students. So with, so many students confused whether they should enroll for online education and is it worth the amount that they're paying and the time that they're paying. And looking at all that, so, we have to understand this from the expert point of view as if, is are we going towards the right direction? And when we are talking so much about digital India and, all these concepts, so I feel that, today our expert panelist and our expert talker today, Dr. Mona Gujral, I welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of Universal Reach Foundation. And we really look forward to the session today because I feel that, this topic, when you will be telling us today, it will give us a lot of clarity and we will be better able to make decisions for the future of our children and the parents will be in a better situation to understand what it actually means. I would request Misha Bhaji to introduce ma'am and then we will begin with our session. Thank you so much.
Good evening to one and all present over here. Dr. Mona Gujral is a certified parenting coach, a mindfulness expert, author, and a council member of Rajasthan State Council of Elementary Education. I've been told that ma'am holds immense experience when it comes to parental counseling and in the field of education. So without spending even more minute, I would like to hand over the session to Mona ma'am, and she'll be guiding us first as to what the entire schematic of this thing is. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Misha, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you for this platform, where I can share my thoughts about online education and the way the scenario is taking shape. So online education was like just thrusted upon us when the pandemic happened. So before that, the online education was already present, but that was by choice. And that was happening at a very young level where, the Disney series were going on and some baby Einstein were working. And this was where, the parents were using it as a tool for babysitting their children. And the other online education before pandemic was in the higher education sector, where a few niche prestigious universities abroad, they were offering some niche programs to children all over the world. So that was where the online education was happening. And that was also by choice, not by forced. It wasn't forced on us. So now as the pandemic set in, so all this has been forced on us. And whereas in metros, we see a very rosy picture of the online education where, there were children, we were not prepared, but the schools stepped in. The schools actually amped up their system. They adapted their education level accordingly. And the teachers were redesigning their curriculum to, innovating their curriculum so that they could impart it in a better way to the students, so that in an engaging way, and in a way that it creates interest and sparks some interest in the children. So this was happening, and because in metros we have excellent internet connectivity and the parents do have a spare device which the children could use. So they were not at a loss of things. So this online education was very useful, and it's very helpful. I mean, I applaud the schools for this initiative, and this was very good model only in the metros. But what about the rest of the India? Rest of the India, where there are so many cities where the internet connectivity is not there. So the question of online education doesn't happen there. So there are so many households where, in some towns and some small cities, where the parents do not have a spare device. They cannot spare a device for the child to have the education on, start their schooling on. So in those families also, most of the India, I would say around probably, if I look at the statistics, 83% of the India was not prepared. 83% of the India was in that category, and they were not prepared for the online education to start in any form. So it was just thrusted upon us. But still, the resilient human spirit, we moved forward in some way, and we were, imparting education. And what I hear of, I have personal, in some small towns and of India, what is happening is teachers just record a few instructions and they give it to their child. Just record an instruction and they give it to. So now imagine a child who has not, who doesn't know anything about a subject. So that child has to, learn a particular topic just by hearing to a recording from the teacher. So, I mean, this is not the kind of education, online education that we are, we were used to or we want for our children. And even in the metro areas, what was happening is, it's very surprising that the preschools have opened up. Many preschools, they are also delivering education online. So a child, you have to understand that the child who is in the age group of 2 to 7-year-old, the child is not in a pre-operational condition, in a state where the child can, and it is so inappropriate to expect from the child to take a learning from sitting in front of a screen. So the child has to sit in front of a screen and take their education from there. So that's very inappropriate if we think that the child will be, doing it. So what the parent has to sit with the child, see what the teacher is saying, and then impart it to the child. And the children, they have a very distinctive, role for the parents and the teachers. So what the teacher is saying and how they will behave to the teacher, and what the parent is saying, how they will behave to the parent, is an entirely different scene. So, I mean, I really question the amount, the quality of education they are trying to impart to a child who is 2 to 7 year, in the age bracket of 2 to 7-year-old. So, and here also, if we look at, the higher age group, there is a lot of toll which is, happening on the higher age group also, around 8 onwards, because most of the child, if we see psychologically, we as humans, we have 3 basic modes of learning. One is the auditory learning, one is the visual learning, and one is the kinesthetic learning. So when you are, sitting and learning from a screen, so any kind of learning, auditory, yes, still it can happen. The child is able to learn. A child who has auditory learning as his main mode of learning can still get some education out of it, get some clue out of what is happening. But a child who's a visual learner, and in visual learner, because most of the time the content is not there on the screen, the teacher is there on the screen, or some, the screen is a different thing to play out. So the child cannot see what is being, what has to be absorbed. So the visual learners do have a lot of problem. And the main problem is with the children who are kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners, matlab, they learn by feel. So these are the children who are the most affected. So they are the children who thrive on that one-to-one relationship between a teacher, or one-to-one relationship between their friends. So these are the children who are most affected during in all this scenario of learning. So I have seen so many cases of children who were like, who really loved to go to school, who were doing so well in their education, in the studies, everything, extracurricular activities. But now in the online system, they are, they are at a loss. They are not motivated to learn. They do not want to sit in front of the screen and learn, and their grades are going down. They are not finishing their assignments on time. So many things are happening. And psychologically also, the level of anxiety and stress is through the roof. So children are so anxiety because there is no clear indication as what the future holds. So when are the next sessions starting? Is it really starting, or we still have to wait because we hear a new strain of COVID has come out? So there's so many things which are going. There is no clarity of the situation. So children are, having so many stress, anxiety related issue. Depression is setting in because of the lack of connect with their their friends and their teachers and anyone outside. So sitting at home, it is a very different environment. And the overnight, the children were moved out of their familiar zone of learning, which is their classroom and their school, into their house alone. They had to sit alone, look at a screen and start learning, which is actually taking a lot of toll on the children during all this time. And this is the kind of this is the online education. What we are talking of is the one aspect of online education, which is the schools are providing, and it is kind of compulsory, and we have to deal with it. We have to find a way for it. But there is another set of online education which is happening, which is coming by. There are so many companies coming who are trying to teach technical solutions, technical knowledge, or some kind of a computer language to the children, just because they are exploiting the insecurity of the Indian parents. So, just telling them there is a wave going on, that during the pandemic you have a lot of time, so learn a new skill. Learn a new skill. So I really want to question, why do you need to learn a new skill? You have your hands full, you're doing so many things. So whatever time you're getting, please sit at peace with yourself or with your family. Why do you need to learn a new skill? So these are the companies who are advertising all this, and they are thirsting upon you some education of their own, in the form of technical education, or in the name of technical education, or in the name of some education for the future. This is the language of the future. This is what you need for the future. So they are just thirsting all these things on us. This is what this is another form of education, online education, which we have to deal with at this time. So what is happening is, at one point where I agree that yes, all this technical knowledge that they're talking about, and all the, the language, what their computer language and all that they're talking about, this is very essential. Because if you see 10 years down the line, everything will be in that technical zone. We will be, technology has anyways entered in our life at every phase. So this is going to happen. This is very essential for us. But the way the things are being taught, the way they are being projected, the way the things are being advertised is not how it should be. So, without taking any names, I would like, there are so many ads going around that, if you enroll your child at the age, I think there is some disturbance. So at the age of 6, if you enroll your child, they are giving, selling such lucrative dreams to the Indian parents, that if you enroll your child at the age of 6, your child can develop an app, which probably the technology giants like, Microsoft will be buying it. It's coming. There's some disturbance coming. I think someone's
Yeah, someone's microphone is on.
mic is, yes.
Yeah. So, whatever you said, ma'am, is really acceptable, and we've all seen this happen. Like with us being in the month of mid-January now, it's been almost a year since the pandemic happened, and we've all, including students, parents, we've had no choice but to accept it. We were not given an option. We were not given a time to prepare. So, do you think that it has been accepted with open arms, or a lot of parents and a lot of institutions are still receiving it like a stepchild like treatment to this whole online education system, which we had to step into due to the pandemic?
I don't think it is acceptable. Number A, because half of the work the parents have to do. The parents are like, when we, they have their own office to manage, and they have to manage the child. They have to manage the homework, everything of the child. So, this is not an acceptable model. And only, even if we look at it, only in the metro cities, it is completely viable, where we have all the resources present with us. But what about the 83% of the India where none of the resources are present? And because there are no devices at home, because there's no internet connection at home, online education cannot happen. It is very difficult to have online education. Thinking of that, it will probably take another 5-7 years for all the resources to be there, so that the online education can happen in those areas. Even in the metros, people are not ready, because it actually doesn't make sense that the child sits alone in one place and just gets the education from just a computer screen. That is like, we are all human, social, man is a social animal. We need that social connection to thrive. So if it is not there, there are so many psychological issues which are already present in the children happening. So online education, as I see, and what I have researched, I don't think it is, it is easily acceptable. Yes, during this time, to pass this time so that the time is not wasted of the child, the academic year is not wasted, we are taking, taking it in our stride. But otherwise, I don't think it is, people are very ready to accept it at this point.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, the social scenario and the psychological scenario, my next question to you, ma'am, is on the same line. So, as we all know that psychological impact and psychological adaptability is a very important matter of concern among many parents and education experts today. So, with vaccine drive having begun from yesterday onwards, how will it be mentally different, and what impact can parents expect in students when it comes to going back to school or colleges post the COVID era? Because it 1 year is a long time. A lot of habits have changed, a lot of new habits have come into picture. So how do you think it will be psychologically different for parents to bear, and for students to experience this post COVID era of the educational system?
So post COVID, the thing is that people are, kind of, at one point, the people are just trying to go out, like just let it open, let the schools open, because as we are seeing, there's a lot of surge of people going, posting their pictures on Facebook that they are traveling because they've had enough sitting at home. So at one, there is one segment of the children who are actually looking forward to go out, meeting their friends, and starting their life anew. But at the same time, there are a few, children who are, by mindset only, they are a little paranoid. They are, because they've seen things happen in their house. They have been, their families have been affected by COVID, and they have lost someone. So those, I'm sorry, I think that was somewhere. So those people, they are. I was saying yes. So yes, those people who have actually seen a loss of life because of COVID, some they lost a loved one because of COVID, they will be paranoid about going into the situation. And they are the one who are actually needing counseling right now also. So there are so many children who I am counseling, that they are scared that the school will be opened, because the vaccine is coming, the school will be open, and what will happen, we will catch the, if I am not vaccinated by that time, I don't know, a new strain. I have a child who's coming to me, and the child is telling me that I heard in the news a new strain of COVID has come. What if I get that? What if I, if I pass it on to my family members, and what if this one, my father or the mother also passes away, as it happened in my family? So the children are really scared. So the, here the onus lies on the parents to actually, tell the children that, give them that kind of a confidence, that no, things are going to be, make them sit and talk to them, that this is what the steps we have taken, this is what the steps the government has taken. So be relaxed, that this is not going to happen to you. So the parents play a very big part in handling the children at this time.
Very true. I absolutely agree. And with cases not being absolute zero in any of the states in the country, the fear is still looming over all our heads. And in on these lines, my next question is about the exposure of children towards television and online platforms. So every one of us is aware that, be it OTT platforms, be it streaming platforms or television, ads have become an active part of all our lives now. So this combination of marketing, advertisement, and education as a tool has witnessed a paradigm shift. Today, every fourth or fifth television ad and every newspaper carries an online educational platforms commercial. The sudden blast in the number of courses that these platforms are offering have not only confused parents and students, but they are trying to capture young minds at a very gimmicky way, with celebrities being their brand ambassadors. So I wanted to know that how would this change the education industry further down the line?
So, I mean, this is not an education what they're offering, which is very essential for the child. This is what I have to say. This is not, I need the parents to understand that this is not an education which is absolutely essential for your child right now. So the government of India in the new, education policy, they have introduced this thing, what is being advertised. They have introduced this thing in the right way, the way it should be. You know, the way the ABCD is taught, the way 1 2 3 is taught, they will be teaching all these languages and all in that fashion, and which is the right way to go. So now if I ask any of the parent that, you know, since I have published a book, I have a book published in my name. So now if you, your child who's 4 years of age, if you, I can coach your child at this age of 4 years, he knows basic ABC. So if I coach your child, so your child can write a book in the next 6 months. So would you believe that? I'm sure many of the parents are not going to believe it. So how do you believe a person, whether the celebrity is endorsing, whoever is endorsing it, how would you, believe that person who tells you that at the age of 6, you give me your child, and, you know, within 1 month of training, your child can develop such a big app that all the technology giants will be vying for that, running for that app. How do you believe that kind of thing, what is going on? So I really would like to urge the parents to have their own research, have their own due diligence of what is being offered to you. How viable is that thing, you know? Do you really believe that a child at the age of 10, Google will hire that child? Do you really believe that, you know, at the age of 10, the child doesn't know anything else, doesn't know any other qualification? Is Google going to hire that child? How can you believe something which is advertised to you, even if a celeb is? And now if you see that there are pictures of giants like Mr. Sundar Pichai, Mr. Bill Gates, uh, they are showing the selling all this with their pictures. So do you think that have you seen the struggle that these men have gone through their life? Have you seen how these men have come to the position where they are? So how do you think that, your child, I mean, this is my question to the parents, that, just use your research before giving your hard-earned money. And this is a bucket full of money, little bit of money. It's very expensive courses that they're offering. So before offering your hard-earned money to these companies, just do some research, do some due diligence from your side. And Facebook, if you see Facebook, when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, it was not at the age of 6 years. But it was certainly not under the pressure of his parents who were telling him that you have to make this app right now. It was born out of passion when he was starting, when he had the full knowledge of the subject. It was born out of passion. So passion brings prosperity. Forced things will never bring prosperity for your child. So, I mean, this is a very sad scenario which is happening. But yes, this is the reality at this point. So, over to you, Misha. Anything else?
So I absolutely agree to what you've said, that it has to come out of passion. So with the entry of these corporate giants into the industry, who claim that they can make your kids into some superhero who would do things instantly at the age 6, which is realistically not so viable and easy to digest. So how would these courses and online platforms change the course of education industry once the physical classroom, the physical tuition culture which is so popular in India, and how in general would this change the course of education industry?
So, education, I mean, this is what, I think I'll be repeating myself when I say that these companies, they're exploiting the insecurity of the Indian parent. In no other world, in no other country of the world, they can do such a thing. But in India, because of the insecurity the Indian parents have, that, my child should reach there first, they are exploiting that insecurity of the Indian parent, and they are being successful in that to some extent. But I mean, as I see, I am a doctor by education, and I have cleared all the entrance exams and everything. I never needed my, in that area, in that age, I never needed any external tuition. I never needed any external tuition. For me, my education, what the school was offering me, was very good enough. I only needed the tuition to crack those entrance exams. So for the parents also, you do not need any kind of tuitions from if your child is sitting and studying at the school and at home, you do not need any kind of tuition for your child from a very young age. It happens, yes, when you're near ninth, 10th, you need some kind of support. From a very young age, do not go into that rat race of this is what the companies are exploiting, because we are in that rat race of getting our child ahead. And this is what these companies are exploiting. So do not give them that kind of leverage on you. Regarding what you said, there are a few companies which are actually genuinely doing good work, who are actually teaching all these technical education at a very from a very young age, but in the manner it should be, like they are going from the ABC kind of a way. So they are teaching in a good way. So because of some bad apples, the good apples are also getting a bad name. So I mean, we should be again, I said, the parents have to be realistic. Parents have to be realistic. Let your child grow at its own pace. You cannot at an age of 6, you cannot ask your child ki, do something really great. So be realistic about the education, how your child is going to get.
Absolutely. Coming to this realistic that parents should be. I recently found out through one of my common family friends that they have. So she has 2 kids and she is a full-time working lady. Recently, she started going back to office and there was no technological access at home where the child could sit for the class or could do these online tests that schools give. And I remember that a lady telling me that I had to do her test while I was coming back home in the train because there was deadline. So kids in metropolitan areas, kids in big cities have somehow still managed, ma'am. And as I'm very sure, I have faith in the governing system that they would do their best possible to start schools physically again. But what about this year that has, what about this academic year that has passed? A lot of, I was told that around 200,000 students from just rural regions of Maharashtra had to waste one academic year. It is said by the government that these students would be promoted further and they wouldn't lag. But what about that year of missing education, year where you did not learn anything? And this would put our rural students on a backtrack in comparison to our students in the city. So how do you think that in the rural area specifically this gap should be tackled by not pressurizing the child to cover the learnings of the past year, but also making sure that the child is not missing out on anything?
So what my personal, actually, this is my personal opinion. This is what my personal opinion is. 1 year does not matter. If you see the long run, 1 year does not matter. Do not pressurize the child. If you pressurize the child, for this 1 year the child has lost, the coming years of the child will also be ruined. And this is what I have seen at many places, in my private practice, because there was a girl who, she, when the swine flu came in, she got swine flu, and she had to miss 1 year. And then the parents were like, on her, that you have to cover it up, cover it up, cover it up somehow. And because of that 1 year, I mean, her whole life was like, went out of track. So this is what I mean. 1 year, what I have seen, 1 year doesn't matter. If the children can cope it up, it doesn't matter for any of the education. Anyways, many children, they take a year, they take a sabbatical for 1 year to prepare for the entrance exams for some years. So 1 year, I don't think it matters. But you should not pressurize the child. You should maintain the mental and the psychological level of the child, and not break the child, not break the confidence of the child because of this 1 year. This is what my personal opinion is, seeing the children that I counsel.
Absolutely. And coming to parents, parents are another sufferers who've suffered a great deal throughout this year of online education, managing home, managing work, making sure that the kid is sitting for the online class. And in case of pre-primary and primary students, the parents have to sit next to the kid so that, the kid is sitting throughout the class. As a parental expert, and what advice would you like to give all the parents out there that since we are not expecting schools to open in the immediate future, but for the rest of the months that online education is to continue, what would be your advice for the parents on how should they tackle this personally and with their kid at the same time?
So, I mean, with the parents, I would be like, just let the kids be. Just let the kids be, because even if you're forcibly making a child sit in front of the screen, you don't know when the child has zoned out, right? The child is sitting because you force the child to sit in front of the screen, but the mind of the child is somewhere else. What is the child learning? I mean, how can you make sure that their mind is also there in the screen? That you cannot make sure for the child. So just making the children sit in one place. Instead, what I would like the parents, what I would like to suggest the parents, what I do tell them is make the child interested in the studies. Tell them something that, so that they look forward to what is happening. You know what is happening in the studies. So say, okay, you know what, ma'am said this yesterday. So I'm really curious to know what she will say tomorrow. So, talk to the children in that way so that the children are genuinely interested to sit and listen to what the teacher is saying, what is happening in the class. So, create some kind of an interest in your child to study rather than make them forcibly sit with you in front of the screen. Because that will not happen. That will not lead to effective studies. So genuinely create their interest. Talk to them. I am very interested to know. You tell me today, tomorrow I will not be able to sit with you, but why don't you tell me what ma'am said? I left the story in between, I left the chapter in between, whatever. So, you tell me tomorrow what will happen. So that way you are creating the interest of the child in the study rather than forcing him to sit where the mind is somewhere else. So over to you,
So
Misha.
you advise that intriguing curiosity in the children would be
Absolutely.
a good thing for parents and child both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no other way. I mean, forcibly, physically the child is sitting, but mentally the child is zoned out somewhere else. So there's no point of learning then.
Right. And we have recently seen a lot of World Health Organization coverages that, the world should be prepared that this is not the last time it would face such a pandemic or any calamity. So down the line, if we are to set ground for making online education system a proper platform, what would your suggestions be that how India as a country can join international countries who, some countries like Norway and Sweden, they've done a phenomenal job setting up their online curriculum. And I've seen certain videos from Thailand as well, where they have introduced an element of fun for the students. So
Yes.
what do you think India should do to make sure that there's a proper structure of online education the next time around the country needs it full time?
So first and the foremost is that the schools and the teachers have to have that inclination to teach online. Our educators have to have that kind of a inclination, that kind of a readiness to teach. If they are taking it as a my God, ye kya ek aur naya kaam pad gaya, if they are taking it in that kind of a attitude, it is not going to help. So, I mean, I have personally seen the schools which where my children go to. So they have actually adapted all the curriculum in such a way that my children look forward to sit in front of the screen and have some kind of a learning. So they are doing a phenomenal job of imparting education to the children. So there are many schools which are actually taking care because they have in their ethos, they have that in their school that this is there that we will teach the children in coming we have to teach the children. So the other schools also. So basically where we are lacking is, I think, that 83% of the India where the resources are not that well good. So there the teachers do not have that kind of a resources. The teachers have to be given that kind of a training from the government. So teachers have to be trained in a way so that they are able to teach children in the new setting. Teachers cannot be so innovative because they don't have the resources, so they cannot be so innovative to teach. So teachers have to have some kind of training. I know in my school, children's school, the teachers went through a rigorous training of, I think, 1.5 months, and after that they made the curriculum and then they taught the children. So it has to happen pan India, all over India. That has it, and this has to come from the government. It cannot happen even if it is a private school. The government has to direct them to give this kind of a teaching to the training to the teachers, so that they are ready to impart knowledge when the need is in the future. And yes, it is very sure that this is not going to be the last pandemic. This is here to probably many more to come. Yes. So we have to be ready.
Certainly,
The
ma'am.
teacher. Hmm.
So, in our country, it is a well said belief that any policy or reform aimed for development and progress of our citizens in the country, with whatever development and reform has been launched after meticulous planning, has not always borne great results. Our population control policy from many decades ago can be a shining example for that. So, do you think online education would have been accepted if parents were to be given a choice? And do you think that the government or institutions could have taken some time before just imposing it overnight on students?
I don't think for this kind of a thing there was enough preparation at any time. At any time they think of launching it, there would be some or the other loopholes. So I mean, it had to be thrusted upon so that the people will take it. Because if you ask them, if you ask an opinion, if you do a poll, there will be 1,000 opinions about it, how to launch it, how to do it, how to implement it. So this had to be thrusted upon so that the people take it. So after this, it had to be done that way only. And I'm sorry, what was the earlier question? I just what was the
So,
question, please?
if the government would have planned this meticulously, because it was, after all, about the future generation of the country, so would this have been any better than the present situation?
Yes. So that's what, no, it had to be thirsted upon, because if they asked for an opinion and in a meticulous way, there would have been, so many people would have come with their opinions, and this is not going wrong, because everybody thinks from their own, everybody has their own opinion, and everybody thinks from what feels good with them. So everybody will tell them, people are always ready to give you the problem, but not the solution to the problem. They will point out all the problems. So it had to come in this way. It came in this way, and we had no other choice but to take it. But now, having said that, but now, because we have seen the system has been tested, we know what are the flaws. Now we can always work on the flaws. We are better equipped to we have seen the flaws, and we are better equipped to work on the flaws because it has already been implemented in a way. So we know the flaws, so we can work on the flaws to make it even more better, to implement it better in a better way and in a more effective way. So that, and the main thing is, it has to reach the people, have to have the resources, the people have to have at least basic internet connection. There's no connectivity of internet in many towns and cities of India, so that has to go there first. So the government has to have its own basic resources in place before they actually force it on people after the pandemic also.
Absolutely. So we have a question from one of our viewers. He's asking, it's also observed that there's competition at every sector, which not entirely, but somewhat leads to these insecurities in kids. What's your view on that, ma'am?
Insecurities in kids come from the insecurities of the parents. The children are born with a belief that they have unlimited potential, and their belief is not wrong. It is the parents who tarnish that belief in the children, who tarnish the brilliance of the children. It is always the parents. So parents are the ones, you know, the insecurities in any field, what you're saying is the insecurity of the parents, because they have seen some failure. So they want to protect their child from the failure. But in turn, they, make a belief in the child that, it cannot be done. Something cannot be done. So we give our own negative beliefs to the children. So if you want, if you want a solution to this, the only solution is let your children blossom in the way they are blossoming. Do not tell them, even if your child tells you that, tomorrow I want to open a company as big as Google, right? Just say, do not mock. Arey, ye kaise hoga? What do you think you can do? You have to study very hard for it. It is not easy. Do not tell all that things. You say, oh yes, you can do it. Why not? Let me know. I will also help you in how we do it. So we will do it together. So do not thrust your insecurities on your child. The insecurity of the children are only from the parents, not from, they are not born with insecurities. They are born with 100% confidence in every field.
Certainly, I agree. So we do not have any more questions from our viewers, but as I would like to, come towards the end, my final question, or rather, I would want your opinion on how digitalization as a process has uh, boomed so much during the pandemic, that now in India it is easy so for parents who who constantly keep changing jobs, and they would want their kid to not having to go through the trauma of changing schools again and again. So do you think that we should have a certain program for distance education when it comes to schooling? So if a child would want to do a semester somewhere else due to the job of parents, and digitalization can make this possible. So do you think this should be a viable idea that schools should think upon? And what's your opinion on it, ma'am?
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that this can, come up, and this is a very, a very good suggestion, because I mean, it's very good because yes, the a child has been in one school for a continuous year, and just for one semester, going to a new school, it disrupts everything. That yes, it's a very good option. That yes, it can be done, and with all we have, the systems have been tested now, so this can come in place. The only thing is the child will feel little lonely sitting at home. So some kind of a human interaction with friends and teachers has to be there, so that the parents can, manage how they will do that at a new place. But otherwise, yes, this is a very viable option. It can be done. I mean, it should be done. Why not? Because I mean,
Great.
yeah.
So thank you so much for all your insightful answers to our questions. I'm sure all our parents and students watching this would have taken a lot from the session. And I'd like to thank you for, dedicating your Sunday evening to us and answering all our questions, because this, after all, is going to go a long way and will be helpful for many as, months to come, because we are still not done with the pandemic, and we're certainly still not done with online education per se. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here, and it was wonderful, interacting with, and I'll be happy, glad if, if even one single parent can get benefited from it, that would be all
So
good.
we had a live audience, and we would also be sharing this on our social media platforms. So I am sure it will reach many who would be seeking answers online. With the new AI, artificial intelligence, coming in place, I am sure that this video would be recommended to many.
Right, right, right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Thank you. We'll stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you.